Peace, Chem family. It's me, Banaset, your African holistic health nurse for Kemetic Wellness Sacred Healing Center, and I'm back with another video. If you're new to the channel, I want to say welcome to you. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking about the signs of toxic narcissistic families, okay? To those of you who are watching me on Instagram, greetings. You can join me on YouTube to watch the stream. I'm not going to keep the Instagram up for the entire time, okay? Okay. So this topic came to me because based on some of the things that I've been sharing with you all on my own experience with dealing with narcissistic family, a lot of you all have been reaching out to me. I want to say thank you to all of the new members, all of the new members at kemeticwellness.com, and all of you who are booking your clarity calls, coming to speak with me. Some of you are having trouble deciphering whether or not the things you are going through is narcissistic abuse. And I want to say this, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, so I'm not here to diagnose anyone with narcissism or narcissistic personality disorder. But what I can say is that I am very familiar with the energy of what this is, because this is not just about a mental disorder. You understand? People explain it in scientific terms or medical terms as just a disorder, as a mental disorder, and it's much deeper than that. This is an energy. This is a spiritual thing that is going on. And those who, you can read this in a book, you can study it as a psychiatrist, as a psychologist, but if you have not experienced this and experienced it for years to understand the layers of this thing, like this thing goes deep, 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 deep in layers, you will never really understand it. And you cannot understand it like somebody who has experienced it on that level. So that's the perspective that I'm going to be speaking from today. You can call this energy narcissism. You can call it energy vampires. You can call it dark entities. You can use any of these number of terms, but this is a spiritual thing to describe something that I have experienced and that a lot of people who are coming to me are experiencing. You understand? So that's the perspective that I'm going to be speaking from on this video and whenever I talk about this topic. So I just realized that my YouTube live stream was not even live. So Instagram caught the beginning of that. So let me start this again. I hate when that happens. I was just going good. Okay. So let me introduce myself again to my YouTube family. If you are watching on YouTube, greetings everyone. My name is Banaset. I am the African Holistic Health Nurse for Kemetic Wellness Sacred Healing Center, and I'm back with another video. Okay, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the like button and the subscribe button as you come in. And if you are a returning member, welcome back. Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole intro that I just went through. I'm so disappointed because it was so important to frame what I'm talking about today, which is a very important topic. Okay. So we're speaking on the topic of narcissistic abuse, okay? If you're just coming in, I'm going to try to go through what I said in the beginning. It was not recording, unfortunately. It wasn't recording, so I'm going to try to go through it again. So today I'm speaking on the topic of narcissistic families because I have been getting so many clients coming to me who are experiencing this energy and they don't know what it is. They don't know, is this narcissistic abuse? Is this something else? And I want you all to be able to decipher what this is for yourself. For me, it took me many years going through it to understand what this energy actually is. Okay. And many years of studying it from an objective perspective, meaning reading about it, watching videos, and also from me experiencing it. Okay. So, the energy that I'm speaking on when I'm talking about narcissistic abuse, this is an energy of toxic families. Okay. You can use any number of terms to describe this energy. You can call it energy vampires. You can call it dark entities. You can call it narcissism. It doesn't matter which term you use. We're speaking about a specific energy. Because I know that some people like to say, you're not a psychiatrist or you're not a psychologist. You cannot diagnose with somebody with narcissistic personality disorder. I am not diagnosing anyone, and you recognizing these signs in your own life. It's not about diagnosing anyone with anything, because this is not just about a mental disorder. This is a spiritual phenomenon that is happening, and you have the right to pay attention to signs and to decipher what certain behaviors are and how they're going to affect you in your life. I want to make sure that I'm live so I can see the comments that are here. Okay, I am live. I'm not going to be responding to comments while I'm going because I don't want to be interrupted. I want to stay in the flow. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be talking about today to help you all understand what this energy actually is on a spiritual level, what you're experiencing. And this is going to be done over a series of videos, but today we're going to be talking about some of the signs you may be experiencing if this is the energy that is unfolding in your family. Okay? So, the first sign that I'm going to talk about is a violation of boundaries. Okay. If you are in a family where it is common for your boundaries to be violated, that is a sign that there's something toxic going on in your family. Now, what are boundaries? Boundaries are limits, okay? They are limits that a person creates in order to decipher how someone should deal with them, what type of behaviors are acceptable, what is not acceptable, and how you're going to respond to any violation of those limits, okay, when those limits are passed. That's what boundaries are. Now, a violation of boundaries could be any number of things. This could be family members stealing from you. It could be even any type of harassment, bullying. It could be sexual violations. Okay. Any type of violation that happens in a family where you are speaking up about it and you're saying, hey, this is something that happened to me and this is something that hurts me. And it is ignored, it is dismissed, it is made fun of, ridiculed. This is a toxic sign in a family. This is not normal behavior. This is not normal behavior. It is not normal for your family member to be hurting and for other family members to say, well, that's nothing. That's not important, or to ignore you or to dismiss you. This is not normal behavior. Okay. So, one of the ways that your issue may be minimized is through gaslighting. Okay. Gaslighting is a term that's used in the terms of psychology to describe where someone is trying to make you question your reality. So, I'll give you an example. I had a client come to me and let me know her experience where she was being touched inappropriately by her brother. Okay, she's being touched inappropriately by her brother. And she ended up telling her family what happened. She ended up telling her mother, and the mother sided with the brother and called her a liar, telling her that what she experienced was it never happened, that it was a lie, and basically beginning to turn the family on her. This is something that happens commonly in toxic families, okay, in narcissistic families. This is not a normal reaction to abuse. Families are there to protect you. In a healthy family, you're supposed to feel protected. It is not supposed to be that you are hurt, you are mistreated, you are abused, and when you voice those things, you are dismissed or ignored or gaslit, meaning they try to make you believe that what you experienced never happened. Okay, that's not a normal phenomenon. Okay, this is a way for the members of the family to not be accountable for whatever is going on. Okay, they don't want to be accountable, and so because they don't want to be accountable for what is going on, they want to make you believe that it never happened. Okay, and when you experience this time after time after time after time in a family, it will make you question your reality. It will make you feel like you're going crazy, or like you start to wonder, is this real? Did I really experience this? Or you start to wonder if you speaking up about it is wrong. They make you feel like you're wrong for voicing the fact that your boundaries were violated. Okay, so that's one of the signs. Another one of the signs that you will experience in narcissistic families is verbal abuse. Okay, and verbal abuse is any form of communication, whether it is verbal communication, it is texting, emailing, or even gestures, where someone is using communication to try to break your spirit. That's what verbal abuse is. I'll give you an example of this. I remember experiencing this a lot from my sister. And I was a very happy, cheerful child, right? I was a very happy, cheerful child. And when I would walk into the room sometimes, like I would just walk in the room and her response would be, it would be like this guttural, mean sound. Like she was so annoyed at my happiness, like she was so annoyed at my cheerfulness. That type of thing can just break somebody's spirit. That can kind of break you down. Like you walk into a room, you're happy, you're cheerful, you're feeling good, and someone is mad or angry or annoyed. You understand? Things like that. That's one gesture. Okay, it's a small thing, or it seems like a small thing until you experience it time after time after time. Other things would be belittling, okay, ridiculing you. It might be cursing at you, yelling at you, telling you that you're no good, that you're less than. Any type of assault on your character, even lying on you. Okay, this is it's a form of psychological abuse that's meant to break a person down. It's meant to break you down so that you feel less than. Okay. Another form of verbal abuse that I noticed was constant negative talk, like constant negative talk. I experienced this from my mom. She was a kind of person who she spoke bad about everybody. She just spoke bad about everybody, to the point I could not stand to listen to her sometimes. If we would go out in the street, she would say something nasty about everybody who walked by. If a girl was walking by, she would break her down from head to toe. If I was watching television with her, I'm enjoying my little television program, and she is breaking down every little thing, to the point that I would be hearing these things in my head. Like I would know what she's going to say before she even says it, because I know how the mind works. And this is something you'll experience with people who are energy vampires, who are narcissistic, that they know how to really just drain your energy with this type of behavior. It's a drain on you. It's a drain on your energy when you're constantly hearing this negative self-talk, and then it begins to play in your head like a record. you know the voice that a child develops, like your inner voice, is actually the voice of your parents. So when you're constantly hearing someone break other people down, and the same way they break other people down, they break you down. You understand? You start to even believe that other people are thinking these things about you. And so how this manifested for me as a child, I was very I had a lot of anxiety. You could call it social anxiety, because I was hearing these things in my head constantly, and I was believing that these are things that people are thinking about me. The same way that I would listen to my mom break these things down about other people and just tear people down from head to toe, I would be believing that other people are thinking those same things about me. So I was very self-conscious. I was very, very self-conscious. I was very quiet, and I was very shy, to the point that people even believed that I was mute. There were there were times, I remember times where I would um I would be in a group, like a group of kids, and someone who didn't know me, maybe like a facilitator of something didn't know me, and I'd be sitting there the whole time quiet. I'm listening, I'm watching what's going on, and then I would speak. Maybe I would ask, "Oh, can you pass me that?" And they would get shocked because they didn't know I could speak, because that's how quiet I was. And I was so introverted because I was fearful of the negative things that people were saying. But it wasn't anyone saying anything negative to me. It was that voice that was playing in my head over and over and over from hearing it so often. Do you understand? And so this is how somebody breaks you down through verbal abuse. It doesn't even always have to be things that they say to you, but more than likely, if they're saying these things about other people in front of you, they're saying it to you too, you know? And so it's done as a way to maintain control and power over another person. Okay? It's meant to maintain control and power over your mind. Um so not only did I experience this from my mom, but there was different dynamics. I also experienced it with my sister. And because I was always hearing these insults, and it would hurt me to my core. Like if I would get into it with my sister, she would just say the meanest things to me. And eventually, my mind will go to, okay, that's how you want to hurt me. I'm going to hurt you back, you know? And I would get into this space where I would practice, jokes. Like I would practice how to break her down. And so to this day, it's easy for me. It's easy for me because I learned this, because it was deep in my subconscious. I learned how to break somebody down head to toe. I can do it like that. I can do it easily. I can do it very easily. And it's because I had to practice it in order to defend myself. This was the way I thought in my mind I needed to defend myself against the things that were being said to me by my mother or my sister. And so I would get in the mirror and I would practice, look somebody head to toe and say the meanest thing you could possibly say. And I can do it without cursing at you. I can not say one curse word to you and make you feel this small. It was something that I had to unlearn doing in my relationships from hearing this type of verbal abuse over and over and over again. You understand? So, verbal abuse, that's the second sign. Okay. The next one that I want to talk about is a lack of empathy. Okay. a lack of empathy. A person who is narcissistic, people who are energy vampires, people who entertain dark spirits, okay? And when I say entertain dark spirits, I'll get into that later, actually. I'll get into that later. People who listen to the negativity in their mind, because everybody has a choice. As humans, we all have free will. All right. We have a choice. Everybody has that good angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder. And whichever one grows is the one that you feed the most. Okay. So whichever one you entertain more is the one that becomes bigger and bigger and bigger in your life until that becomes basically your personality. Right. So people who entertain these spirits, you can call it, we can stick to the term narcissist. Um, they have a severe lack of empathy, meaning they cannot understand how something is hurting someone else unless it is done to them. Okay? So this is why when you bring your concerns and let them know, okay, you crossed the boundary with me, it's like they can't get it. They just don't get it. They can't hear what you're saying. They don't like to feel they don't want to feel your feelings. They don't care about what you're feeling. If it's not about them and their agenda and their mission, what they're trying to do, they don't care about it at all. It's not important to them. Do you understand? So they lack the ability to empathize. They lack empathy. Um, One of the ways that you may respond when you realize that you're dealing with someone who is not empathetic, who cannot empathize with you at all, is sometimes you will try to give them a taste of their own medicine, right? Because if someone hurts you and their response to you is, well, just get over it, or who cares, or they try to tell you that never happened, or they say you're being too sensitive, or it was just a joke, and you're feeling this pain. You're like, okay, if it was perfectly fine for you to do it to me, let me do it to you and see if you like it. Okay. Unfortunately, in narcissistic families, this always backfires on the the victim. This always backfires because the narcissist in the family has different rules for you than they do for themselves. So they can treat you a particular way and you were supposed to accept it. You were supposed to deal with it. You were supposed to suck it up. You were too sensitive. It was just a joke when they were doing it to you. But when you return the same energy, when you are an energy returner, which I am an energy returner. When you return that same energy, all of a sudden, all of a sudden, you are vindictive, you are wicked, you are evil, you are every name in the book. But what were they when they were doing the same thing to you? Do you understand? They have totally different rules for you than they do for themselves. And this is the same way people who are bullies, like a child who is a bully in school, this is how bullies behave. This is bully behavior. I can push you, I can slap you, I can scream at you, I can do whatever, but you dare better not do it to me. That's how narcissists think. Okay? That's how narcissistic people think. You dare better not do it to me. There's a total lack of empathy. They can only feel what they're feeling. They don't have the ability to put themselves in your shoes and understand how this is really breaking you down. And they don't care. They don't care. They actually know. They know, but they don't care. Okay? All right. Let me say hi to everybody who is on Instagram. Greetings. You can meet me over on YouTube. I'm not going to keep the stream up here on Instagram, okay? Greetings to everyone who's on IG watching, okay? So The next one that I'm going to talk about is sibling rivalry. Another sign is sibling rivalry. Hi, Fatima. Sibling rivalry um, is not a normal, well, let me not say normal, because what's the norm in our society or in present day is not a natural phenomenon. Okay. And I will unveil more about that later as we go on. It's not a natural phenomenon. Okay. Sibling rivalry is not something that happens in healthy families. Sibling rivalry happens when the parents in a narcissistic family dynamic pit the two children or more children. They pit the children against each other in order to do the parents' dirty work. Okay? That is what sibling rivalry is. So it's a Cain and Abel type of thing that's going on. And I noticed this happening as a child with both of my parents actually. The way this starts is they usually will plant a seed of envy within the children by treating them differently. So I'll use my life as an example. For me, I was my father's favorite child. I looked like him. I had a lot of his mannerisms, and I think a lot more like him than I did like my mom. And he did not believe that my sister was his. He didn't believe that my sister was his child, and for that reason, he did favor me. And I don't think it was anything that he ever said to her, but energy doesn't lie. You know what I mean? You just know. You just know. You know if you're your parents' favorite. Okay. And on the other side, my mother also early in childhood favored me, meaning she paid a lot more attention to me. I am the oldest, my sister is the younger child. She paid a lot more attention to me until maybe around the age between 5 and 7, where my aunts had noticed this and they were like, "You're always talking about Debbie," because that's what my family calls me, Debbie. You're always talking about Debbie, 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 Debbie. You have another child. Why don't you talk about, I'm not going to say my sister's name. We'll call her Alyssa. Okay. Um, why don't you talk about Alyssa? You know, you have two children. And my sister and I we're close in age. We're 2 years apart, so we everything you see, Debbie and Alyssa, Debbie and Alyssa, Debbie and Alyssa. We were always together, but she was really planting, and both of my parents, by treating us differently, were planting a seed of division between us by doing that. Because naturally, as a child, when you see your sibling being treated better than you, it's going to create a level of hatred, you understand, or a level of resentment. And so from that point on, where my aunts brought that to my mom's attention, that you were treating your children differently, there was a switch that happened. And I don't know if in her mind this was an overcorrection, whatever you want to call it, but um, my sister could never do anything wrong from that point forward. It didn't matter what she was. She could kick me, she could slap me, she could steal my things, she could break my things. And anytime I spoke up about it, it was, "You're too wicked, you're mean, you're this, you're that, go sit down." You know, it was, I was the one who was wrong. I was, no matter what happened in the situation, it was between me and my sister, I was wrong. I was always wrong. Be the bigger person. Those are the type of things that they'll tell you. She could never be held accountable for anything that she did. And naturally, when these type of things happen, it's going to create a resentment between the children. You understand? Um, when my father treated my sister in this particular way, where there was favoritism towards me, and I remember at some point where he came to me and he was like, he asked me to tell him the truth about whether or not she was his child. And I did not play into it. I was like, if she's not your child, then I'm not yours either, because that's my sister. I always had a certain level of good character where I could see what was going on and I never played into it. However, I feel like I don't know, maybe my sister just didn't think the same way. She just didn't see things the same way. And she enjoyed being treated better. And I guess because of her own envy, her own jealousy, where this made her feel like I'm better than her. I get to be better than her. I get to be right even when I'm wrong. And this is how narcissistic parents pass on this mentality to their children. You understand? This is how they pass on this mentality to their children. Um, and usually the child who is experiencing this level of favoritism ends up developing the same mindset, okay, as the narcissistic parent. Okay, meaning they are not accountable for their actions, they lack empathy, they push boundaries because who gonna check me, boo? Who's going to tell me that I can't? Nobody is telling her that she can't. Nobody is telling this sibling that they can't do it. In fact, they're being more emboldened in the behavior. So this is what happens with sibling rivalry. Now, veggie backing on that is favoritism. Okay, kind of connected. Favoritism is basically where you treat one child differently than the other child. Oh, and let me say this. Um, Differences amongst siblings or disagreements among siblings is a natural thing. That is not the same thing as sibling rivalry. Okay? That's not the same thing as sibling rivalry. Um, in a healthy family where there are differences or arguments or disagreements among siblings, the normal thing is for the parent to hear one side, listen to one child, hear the other side, listen to the other child, bring the two of them together and have them communicate. Even in front of the parent and teach them, this is not okay to hurt your brother. Hear what your brother is saying so that they listen to each other, they understand each other's point of view with empathy and with love. You understand? But in a toxic family, that is not done. Instead, what the parent is going to do is separate the two children, tell one child one thing, tell another child the other thing, and the parent gets to be in the middle. This is the dynamic that I experienced as well. So everything that I'm telling you, I'm speaking from experience, not only just from reading about it. Reading about it helped me to understand what I was experiencing, because when you're going through it, you don't know you know that something is wrong, but you don't fully understand what's happening because you cannot see the picture when you're in the frame. Okay? That's just how life goes. When you're fully deeply in it, you don't really know what's happening to you. You just know how you feel. You're experiencing it. You're experiencing the after effects of it, but you don't know what is really happening. Okay? So, what the parent is going to do in a toxic family, the narcissistic parent is going to tell one child, one thing, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're evil, tell another child a different thing, or always be the one that has to mediate. I remember whenever we would have a disagreement in the house, that would mean that I would be by myself and my mother and my sister would stay together. So there would sometimes be days where my sister and I shared a room, but she didn't stay in my room because we had a blow, we had a fight, whatever. And there was a silent treatment basically in the house. Like I was just treated totally different after that point until I guess we made up with each other. And there was never a push for us to understand each other. And I remember asking my mom several times, can we have a family meeting? I don't know who I thought I was, being this young, family meeting. What do I know about this? But I knew that I wanted us to all speak together. And she was like, no. She was adamant against it. This is one thing that a narcissist or an energy vampire will do. They do something, this is a form of what's called splitting. Okay, and favoritism is a symptom of that. What they will do is put one person on one side, the other person on the other side. They have to be the ones in the middle because that allows them to control everything. That allows them to control the narrative. That allows them to control the way you see the other sibling and the way the other sibling sees you. The goal is never to have y'all really communicate with each other and understand each other. That's never the goal. In fact, that doing that would expose the parent for who they are and the ways in which they're pitting you two against each other. So that was never to happen. And to this day, as a big grown woman, my sister and I cannot talk. And she has programmed her from a child, no, don't go and talk to her, don't go and talk. So even if I want to and I say, let's sit and talk, it can't happen. It never happens. It can never happen. She refuses because from a child, my my mother trained us separate the two of you. You go this way, and if there's an issue, she'll be the one to solve it between the two of you. That's how sibling rivalry happens. It's not a natural thing that happens. It's something that's orchestrated by a narcissistic parent. It's not natural. Okay? So veggie backing on that is favoritism, right? Now, favoritism is where you deliberately treat one child one way and you treat another child a different way, meaning you treat one child with more affection, more love. You may give them gifts. You may give them more privileges. You may just put them basically on a pedestal. You put one child on a pedestal, and the other child, you treat them in a way that um, makes them feel as though they are not worthy, that they are less than, and that they are simply not good enough. Okay, this is what favoritism is. And this is a very toxic form of emotional abuse amongst children. This is never supposed to happen in a family. This does not happen in healthy families. Okay, um, in a normal family, in a healthy family, I want to say, okay, in a healthy family, children are not loved differently. They may be treated differently based on their personalities or their needs. So let me give you an example. Say you have one child who is disabled, right? They have some sort of disability, and you have a child who's relatively a healthy child. They may have different needs, and so you may have to love this child, the disabled child, in a particular way, and love the other child, the healthy child, in a particular way. But you ensure that they both get their needs met, that they both know that they are loved. You understand? So, or say you may have a child who is an athletic child, and then you have another child who is artistic. You may be taking the athletic child to football games and things like that. You may have different experiences with them, whereas with the artistic child, you may take them to museums. You don't take the other child there because that's not their interest. You understand? So you're not giving them different amounts of love. You understand? You are loving them based on who they are. That is different than favoritism. That is different than favoritism. Favoritism is where you ensure that one child is loved, they receive the love that they want, they receive the attention that they need, and you deprive the other child of those things. That is the difference between favoritism and what happens in healthy, normal dynamics in a family. Okay, I hope that's clear. Okay. This favoritism is another form of splitting, okay, much like the sibling rivalry, and the two are interconnected, they're, interweaved. Um, it's another way for the narcissistic parent to maintain control over the whole family and domination over the entire family, over all of those involved, okay? Um, This is also called, another name for this is called triangulation. Okay. Um, Triangulation, you can see this sometimes even in friendship dynamics where he said, she said type of friendships where um, one person will be told one particular thing about someone else and the other person will be told another particular thing. The two never had a conversation. They're going through that person in the middle who's bringing the bone and taking the bone back. And now all of a sudden, these two people on the side are fighting with each other and they don't see the person in the middle who is pulling the strings. That's called triangulation. That's called triangulation. And that's something that happens in narcissistic families as well. Okay, this is what plays into the favoritism and the sibling rivalry. Triangulation. Okay. All right. Now, another really important thing that you're going to notice in toxic families and narcissistic families is that abuse is covered up. This is a huge one. Abuse is covered up. That is never supposed to happen in a healthy family. Your family growing up as a child is supposed to be there to protect you. Okay? Your family is supposed to be there to protect you. If you are being abused and your family is attempting to cover it up, that is a clear sign of narcissistic abuse in families. That's a clear sign that you're in a narcissistic dynamic within your family. Okay? Oftentimes, what happens when abuse is covered up, in order to protect the abuser, which is what's going to happen, they're going to protect the person who is doing the abusing, and they're going to villainize the victim. And this is so sad. This is so sad and it's so heartbreaking that this happens, but this happens very, very often, which is why a lot of times when people are being abused, they do not speak up. They do not speak up. Okay? So I'll give you an example of how this happens. I had a cousin and growing up, and I always realized how she was really a horrible mother. I'm just going to speak frankly. She was a horrible mother. She was a horrible mother. Okay? She was extremely neglectful to her children. She would leave her children anywhere. She would drop them off for anyone, and she's supposed to be leaving them for a night, and she wouldn't come back till like 2-3 weeks later. She didn't come back till like 3 weeks later. You'd be calling her to come pick up her kids. She don't want to come pick up her kids. She don't want to hear from you. She don't want to talk to her kids. None of that. She did not care. She was out doing whatever she was doing her, whether it was making money, whether it was being up under men, whatever it was. She didn't mind her kids. She dropped her kids off with whoever, whether it was friend or family member, usually family, right? But she's supposed to be leaving the child for a night and don't come back for 2-3 weeks. This was a common thing that happened with her. Now, this particular her children, I'll speak about her oldest child, her oldest daughter. When she was with us, she was like another sister that grew up with us. She was like another sister. So we didn't mind having her. It was fun to have another person in the house. However, she didn't just drop her off at our house. She dropped her off at different people's house. You understand? And because of that, when people realize that a child is not being fully watched over and protected, this leaves a child open to being abused. And that is exactly what happened with her. She had different people. One in particular I know was an uncle on her side of the family who was sexually inappropriate with her. Okay. And because of some of the things that she went through with her mom and with the neglect, and her mom also was very physically abusive. I would watch her just beat this girl for nothing. She would beat her from a baby, literally like a few months old to a year old. She would just beat this girl for nothing, beat her. And I started to see this manifest in her in a lot of different ways where she would, from 1 year old, she used to twirl her hair around her finger and pop her hair out. She would just pop her own hair out, and you would see her. She would have these bald patches all over her hair, right? Then when she started to get older, from a very, very young age, elementary school age, she started breaking out in bad acne, very, 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 very bad acne. This is a result of constant stress and abuse that's happening over a period of time. You understand? And she would act out in certain ways where she would just be difficult to, because she was very difficult to control sometimes. But I knew, I'm watching this and I'm like, how y'all don't see this? How my aunties, all these, how y'all don't know that she's going through this because of what her mom is doing to her? But they would be talking about her so bad. Oh, she don't have no manners. She don't have no upbringing. She don't have no brought up, see. She don't know how to listen to nobody, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, y'all not showing this girl no compassion. You don't see what she's going through right now? You don't see what she's going through? It's like they were blind to it. They were blaming her for her behavior instead of understanding this is a symptom of what she's experiencing. And like nobody could see it. These are the type of things that happen in narcissistic families. They end up blaming the victim. They end up making it seem as though it's the victim causing the problem when they are pouring out for help. And nobody hears it. Nobody sees it. Whew. This was very disheartening to watch as a child. This was very disheartening because we're growing up together and I'm seeing it. I'm trying to explain it, but like nobody hears what you're talking about. Nobody hears you. Nobody cares what you're talking about. Like you don't know what's going on. And so a lot of times children who are victimized in this way, they go through hell. They go through the system in different ways. They end up going through mental hospitals. This is another thing. This is another thing. When you see children in mental hospitals, okay, and the parent is trying to convince you, oh, she's bipolar, she's this, she's that, is the parent that's doing it. How in the world did your child get to be so crazy? It's something you doing. It's something that's going on in the family that nobody's really talking about. This is a child who's being abused, and you're trying to cover it up and make it seem like the problem is the child. The child is crazy. The child just got issues. How she got like that? And next thing you know, you have a child who's deep and heavy on medication and going through different systems, being pulled out of the house, going into the what do you call it, child protective services and all of these other things, because everyone is blaming the kid instead of looking at what the parent has done to create the situation. These are signs of narcissistic abuse in families. Okay? A lot of times these things have been happening for so long in families. It's been happening actually for generations. And I'm going to elaborate that in future videos, but it's something that didn't start with you. It's not even something that started in the generation prior to you. It's something that's been happening for generations, and everybody is going along with the program. Everybody is going along with the program. And when you can see that something is wrong and you have a heart that, I don't want to do this, I don't want to continue this, this needs to change, this ends with me, you are the nail that sticks out that must be hammered down. And usually, when this is the case, this is when you will experience the abuse harder than other people. You're going to have it harder than other people in the family when you refuse to conform to the toxicity that is going on there. Okay? You're going to have it harder. And this is when we get into the scapegoat, dynamic, which I'm not going to touch on too much in this video. I'm going to stick to the topic. So another thing you're going to see in narcissistic families is you're going to see a lot of envy and backbiting. A lot of envy and backbiting. Okay. This is where, thank you, Ashley. This is where they love you. So they're your family. They love certain qualities about you. If you are the family member who is, I could say, the empath, or the one who has a much higher vibration than the other members of the family, where you can see the dynamics that's going on, they're going to see these qualities in you and they admire them. Like a part of them admires these things. They like these things. So they love you on one hand, but they hate you because they know that they don't have these qualities, and that they don't, if they ever had them, they don't know how to access them. And they believe that they could never have them. They believe they can never have those qualities for themselves. And so seeing that light in you aggravates the hell out of them. And they develop this hatred, they develop this envy towards you, where they will go out of their way to sabotage you, to dim your light, so that you believe that you are on the same level as them, because they can see who you are. They can see that you think differently. They can see that there's a love within you. There's a divine love within you that's being expressed. And they can see that they don't have it. And you being who you are reflects to them who they are not, and they don't like it. They don't like it. And the only thing that they can think to do, instead of working on themselves to develop the qualities that they have been divinely given, they would rather work on destroying yours. They want to destroy your light. And so this is where all of these other behaviors come in. This is why they will allow you to be abused. This is why they themselves will abuse you. This is why when you tell them you are hurting me, they cannot empathize with you, because they want to hurt you. They want to destroy you. They want to bring you down. They want to steal that light that is within you, that is shining on all of the things that are dark within them that they don't want to see. You have to understand, the cockroaches always run when you turn the lights on. Okay? The cockroaches always run when you turn the lights on. That's how it goes. So you shining a light on them, they start running like cockroaches. Okay? They start getting really, really upset and aggravated at this light, because they're seeing it in you and they know they don't have it, or they don't want to do what is necessary in order to access. Tanisha's laughing. They don't want to do what is necessary to access it. Okay. And so because they don't want to do that work, they rather destroy it in you. And again, this envy and backbiting that you're going to experience, or that you have experienced in a narcissistic family, is something that's been happening for generations, generations upon generations upon generations. Okay. Whew. Okay. Kind of wanted to give y'all an example of this. So I I can picture a time. The person I experienced the most envy from was my sister, but I experienced it from other family members as well. It's just she was the one that I was the closest with because we lived together. So I remember a time where there were several times my sister and I would. She would ask me to hang out with her, right? And that didn't happen very often, but she would ask me to hang out with her, and I would get dressed, get ready, and as we're about to be out the door, if her friend would call, she would drop me. She would just leave me right there and go hang out with her friend. I'm not hanging out with you no more. I'm going with my friend. Okay? there was one specific time I can remember where we actually did end up going out. Now, we lived in the Bronx. We took the train, traveled to the city, to Manhattan, to Times Square, right? Went to go see a movie or whatever we did. We went to hang out. And as we're leaving and we're headed back to the train now, we having a good old time, right? Okay, we having a good old time laughing, kiki, kiki, kiki. And as I'm walking down the street, I'm getting hit on a lot. Okay. I mean, I'm walking down the street and it's one guy after another guy, after another guy, after another guy, after another guy. And nobody was paying attention to her. And all of a sudden, she just stopped talking to me. She just stopped talking to me. Like, we kiki and having a good time. And then I keep trying to bring it back. Like, I want to bring back the conversation and have a good time. Like, you know, get back to that space. And she dead silent. She ain't got nothing to say to me. The whole train ride home, which is like a whole hour train ride home, the whole walk home after we got off the train, dead silence. She just stopped talking to me. That's the type of envy that you experience with narcissistic siblings and with narcissistic family members. Okay? Just can't stand for nobody to like you. Okay? Another thing I would notice is if someone would insult me in front of her. Like, I always defended my sister, but if somebody would defend me, it would insult me, she would never defend me, and she would sit there quiet and like smirk. Like, she would be smirking, like she would be happy to see me embarrassed, or um for my self-esteem to drop or my confidence to drop in that moment. Like, she would take enjoyment out of it. I have another family member, a cousin, who she has a habit of pointing out flaws on you. Like, she would notice, if you're that person that you have that light, you got it. You know that when you walk into a room, you change the whole energy of the room and everybody can see it. Just claim it. It is what it is. So she would do little things or say little things to try to bring my confidence down. She did it to everybody, but I was aware of what she was doing. So, and this is the same cousin who I'm talking about, who treated her kids like garbage. And so she would walk up to you and she would just pick something out on your face or on your physical body. She'd be like, what's going on with your eyebrows? Like, I don't like your eyebrows like that. Because I knew who she was, I would shut it down quickly. I'd be like, I like them enough for the both of us. Shut her down quickly because I already know what she's doing. Or she would walk up to you and be like, are your edges falling out? For no reason. Like, who walks up to somebody and does that? But these are things that envious family members will do just because they want to take you down a peg. They want to knock your confidence down a little bit. These are the type of things that they do. You understand? Envy and backbiting. Another way is they will sabotage some of your efforts. So this is why you cannot tell the positive things that are going on in your life. You cannot tell this type of stuff to your family members who are narcissistic. You cannot do this because they will sabotage you. They do not want to see this happening for you. They don't want to see good things unfold in your life because they feel it's a slight to them. You understand? So envy and backbiting. Okay. Another thing that you're going to see is isolation. And you're going to experience, if you are the empath in your family, you're going to experience a lot of isolation and a lot of loneliness within your family. Okay? Isolation is an extreme form of psychological and emotional abuse that narcissistic and toxic people use in order to keep control over the person they want to victimize. Okay? Human interaction and human contact is a fundamental need. Do you understand? It is a fundamental need for humans to be able to interact with each other. All right? So, when you are being cut off from other members of the family, that is done to break you all the way down. That is done to break your spirit. That is done to make you feel despair. It's done to make you feel hopeless. And it's done to totally kill your spirit. This is why isolation has always been used as an extreme form of punishment. So there have been times where a person who committed extreme acts, they may be exiled. Like you've heard of people in Europe or whatever being exiled to Siberia, which is like the coldest place on earth. No contact, no human contact whatsoever. You will die on the inside. Okay. When you are being isolated like that, it's going to activate certain biological responses in the body because it is almost like someone sentencing you to death. Those are the things, those are the feelings, and those are the thoughts, and those are the fears that are being ignited when you are being isolated from your family. It is done intentionally to ignite that within you. So, one of the ways that you'll be isolated is that they will have family events where they don't invite you. Okay. They will have certain conversations with the entire family, and you'll be the only one excluded from the conversation. All right. Um, Things like that are done to, or even the silent treatment, where everyone else in the house will be talking and then nobody will talk to you. Those type of things are done to kill you on the inside. And there's such a thing called soul murder. I don't know what's going to happen with this YouTube stream because I'm using all type of words that YouTube be banning, but it is what it is. You know, if y'all like the channel, go ahead and support me on the Cash App because a lot of the videos that I do are not monetized. My channel is not monetized yet. Okay. So, and I know a lot of these videos are not going to be monetized. So if you appreciate the content, go ahead and hit the Cash App. Okay. So, um, soul murder, right? Um, okay. So those of you who are watching me on Instagram, I have low battery on my phone and I do not have a charger with me. So go ahead and click the link in my bio, the link tree. There's a little YouTube icon in that link. Go ahead and click that icon and join us on YouTube. Okay. I'm live on YouTube. I'm going to have to end the stream on Instagram. Okay. I'll see y'all later. Peace. Okay. So, soul murder. Soul murder is a real thing. This is where you begin to feel like you're not even yourself anymore. You begin to become so hopeless, so depressed, so full of despair, to where you cannot even see light anymore. A lot of times you will begin to feel like God has abandoned you, that no one cares about you, that you are nothing in this world. And I I know what this feels like firsthand. I know what this feels like firsthand. I remember it was about a year ago, a year and a half maybe, where I was going to one of the healers in the community, and he was a very, very kind man who owns like a massage practice. And he offered for me to come in. It's not a massage, it's like a energy healing practice. And he offered for me to come in. I think he could really see that something was going on with me. He could really, really see. And I went in for my session with him, went in for my session, and I went in by myself like most people go to an appointment. And I remember very distinctly, he looked at me, he said, "You look so lonely." He said, "You look so lonely." And I never forgot that. I never forgot that. Because when these things are happening to you, you don't understand how they really lower your vibration. And other people can feel it. Other people can feel it. You're giving this energy out. Other people can see it on you, you know? And I, at the time, and for a while, I was feeling like I'm not myself anymore. Like I knew that that cheerfulness that I had, that upbeat energy that I had in my voice, that light that I had in my heart, that when I woke up in the morning, I would just be so happy I was singing. I'd be so happy I was singing. And I realized that I would wake up and I had a totally different energy. And nothing I was doing was shifting it. Nothing I was doing was shifting it. Not the yoga, not the meditation, none of that, because I was still in it. And I'm telling you, when you're in a situation like this with family who is trying to isolate you, you will never ever feel more alone than you do in a narcissistic family. You will never feel more alone. I never thought that I would have the courage to walk away from my family. I never thought I could do that because I love my family. I love my family. And I remember when I had made the decision to walk away. And I looked at the pictures that I had up on the altar that I had created. It was something that I was doing to try to shift things spiritually. And I had the altar there, and I had already began to pack my things up because I said, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm leaving. And I had to break down the altar. I had to break down the pictures. And I just bawled out because the pain that was in my heart from knowing that I was never going to be able to have that relationship with them that I wanted. You know, I was never going to be able to have that. And I wasn't going to be able to fix it because it was something deep that was going on. It was something that was spiritual. It was something that was layered. And it literally felt like my heart was breaking. I could feel it. It felt like I was having a heart attack. And I dropped down on the floor and bawled out. So if you are experiencing this, I hate this, man. This wasn't supposed to happen. But this is real. And I'm telling you this because this is something that I needed to do on my channel, because I realized that a lot of not only therapists, but spiritualists who are helping with energy healing do not understand this on this level because they haven't experienced it. They don't really understand what's going on. Some of them will tell you, just try this with your family. Just try that. You know, you got to bring your family together. And they don't understand that these people will kill you if you stay up under them. They will kill you. There's a lot of people who end up homeless, who end up in jail, and who even take themselves out because they're experiencing this level of torture. And they couldn't explain it to nobody. And nobody could help them, and they couldn't see a way out, and it just destroyed them from the inside out. This is what soul murder is. You become a shell of yourself. You don't even know who you are anymore. You don't see that light that you used to see in yourself that you know was there, but you can't access it because you're being lowered. Your vibration is being lowered. Do you understand? This is what is happening in a narcissistic family. And if you are going through this, you know what I'm talking about. And Tanisha said, my therapist gave me I statements. Please elaborate on that. I'm not sure what you mean by they gave you I statements. But This is something that will happen when you go to people who really don't understand the energy of this thing and what it's doing to you. And you're still seeing these people as family. And yes, they are your blood relatives, but you have to see them for who they are, which is they are dark entities. They are people who are entertaining very, very demonic spirits. There was something that a spiritualist here on YouTube, her name is Victoria Hunter. If you're not familiar with her channel, go ahead and check her out. She speaks a lot about these things too. And she says something that I never thought about, but when I heard it, I gasped. She said, you have no idea how long these people have been fantasizing in their mind about destroying you. They're literally playing it in their mind and thinking about, if I do this to her this way, it's going to break her down this way. They before a person does an action, before every action precedes a thought. So they're thinking about this thing. And she said, if you've ever seen them in your presence and it seems like they're in a different world, like they're daydreaming or something, a lot of times they are fantasizing about how they want to destroy you right in your presence. They're fantasizing about things they're going to say to you. They're fantasizing about the things they're going to do to you. And when she said that, I gasped because I knew exactly what she was talking about. I have experienced this with my sister so many times where I was like, it just almost felt like she was not even a real person a lot of time. We would be out together as a family, and I might be talking, my mom will be talking, or everybody else will be talking, and she will be sitting there off in a whole nother world. And I later on saw those actions, but I never thought she was sitting there fantasizing about destroying me. I never actually thought that until I heard that from Victoria Hunter. So shout out to you for breaking it down in that way. Y'all have to really understand how diabolical their thinking is in the ways in which they want to break your soul down, break your spirit down. And the term that, I don't know if this is an actual term out there, but this is the term I give for it, and I call it soul murder, because that's what they're trying to do to you. Okay. There's a quote by Freud, and I hate to have to quote them, but this is a great quote that describes this. And it says, before you diagnose yourself with depression or low self-esteem, make sure that you are not in fact surrounded by assholes. And a lot of you all have received diagnosis of depression, of bipolar, of schizo this and all that. And at the end of the day, it's not that something is wrong with you. It's that you're surrounded by people who are intentionally trying to destroy you. And you don't even realize what's going on. Okay. Adora says, you speak so much truth here. My heart is being expressed through you right now. Blessings to you for doing this. I needed to hear this so much. The heartache is horrendous. I know. I know it is. I know it is. Love Fatima says, you were speaking so much truth, sister. It really is you all who inspire me to speak about this, because I've always been very guarded. I've always been like, I don't talk about my private life. If it wasn't for my work, I would never talk about this. If it wasn't for the fact that I needed to be able to show people the things that helped me heal from the situation, I would never talk about this. But when I started to get the message that you need to share some of these things, and that's when people started coming to me and saying, this is what I'm going through, and now understanding why they needed the healing. I said, this is what I was supposed to be doing the whole time. I'm here trying to hide it. I'm here trying to keep it to myself. And this is another thing that narcissistic families count on. They count on you never ever speaking out. They count on your secrecy. And that's how they're able to operate. And when you begin to speak, this is what destroys those patterns. This is what begins to break those patterns down because you shining a light on it. Everything they did to you, they had to do it in the dark. Nobody could find out. Nobody could know. You have to be the one to shine the light on it. Okay? Tanisha Smith says, explaining how you feel and why you feel the way you do. And a narcissist does not care about how you feel. Facts. This is truly soul murder. Mm-hmm. Love Fatima says, this is why we need more culturally and spiritually competent therapists. This is a fact. This is a fact. And I'm going to speak about the cultural aspects of these as I break these videos down going forward. So just stick with me on this channel. Stick with me. Okay? I got two more. This stream is going a lot longer than I thought it would, but I'm flowing. Okay? Another thing you're going to notice in a toxic or narcissistic family is that there's a lack of accountability for their actions. Narcissists and energy vampires and toxic family members, they will never, ever, ever take accountability for their actions. These are people who lack the ability to self-reflect. Looking in the mirror for them is like, if you ever seen in the movies how vampires respond when the light shines on them, it's like, no, like they can't take it. They cannot take it. They cannot have a mirror held up to their face to show what they are doing. I've heard my sister say this many times. I don't apologize for anything because I'm never wrong. And if I did something, I meant to do it. I used to think this was something she was joking about. Like, I didn't think she really actually believed this. But in her actions, as I saw later on, no, she really believed this on a real level. I am not at fault for anything. I am always right. And a person who believes this in their core, in their spirit, that they are never wrong, that means that if there is a problem between them and another person, the other person has to be wrong because they're never wrong. So do not expect to get accountability when you're dealing with a narcissist. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's never, ever going to happen. They don't do that. Narcissists do not do accountability. They don't do accountability. And so this is why any of the time you try to hold a narcissist accountable for anything, you will get the gaslighting, making you, trying to convince you that what you experienced, it didn't actually happen. They will even sometimes lie on you or project and say the things that they did to you, they will lie and say you did it to them. This is my same experience with my sister. She will talk about, before I was awakened to understand what was happening, I remember coming to her and crying to her, like, I just want to have a good relationship with you. I just want to understand what's really going on. And I remember one time specifically, we were young, like in my early 20s, and I was crying to this girl, like groveling almost. And she sat there and she said, sisters are not friends. That was her response. Sisters are not friends. She didn't care about that. I was the one who wanted that. I was the one who wanted that loving relationship. She didn't care nothing about that. She knew what she was doing. And me asking and coming to her and saying, what did I do to you? She always refused to give me an answer. The response was either I don't want to talk about that. That was the response. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to hear about that. I ain't got time for that. Or it would be, I can't tell you what you did. I'm not telling you what you did. And I'm like, so how do you expect me to fix it or solve it if you don't tell me what I did? And her response was, Well, if I tell you, then you just gonna do it again. It didn't make no sense. It didn't make any sense whatsoever, because that's really the only way to decipher somebody's intentions, is to give them an opportunity and then see how they're going to respond. But once I awakened to what this thing was, I realized they're never going to tell you what you did wrong, because you did, number one, you didn't do anything to them. And number two, if they open up that conversation, then they show their hand. It's going to reveal to you that they just been treating you like shit because they want you to feel like shit, not because you did something wrong. They just want you to feel bad. They just want to hurt you. So they can never have that conversation with you about what you did wrong. And you can never have that conversation with them about what they did wrong. Try holding a narcissist accountable and see the level of rage that you get. There is no accountability whatsoever when you're in narcissistic families. As I said before, I try many times to have this family all sit together and hear what's going on. That was not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. And still to this day, it has never happened. Never. Okay. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is self destructive behavior. This is a big one. This is a big one. Tanisha asked, do you have open session? I don't know what you mean by open session, but I do have clarity calls available. If you want to book a clarity call with me, you can go to kemeticwellness.com. Just look at the ticker that's flowing at the bottom of the screen, and go to kemeticwellness.com and go to book, or book a session, and you'll see it there. Okay. I also have sessions with groups, such as in the womb yoga dance circle, where we talk about things like this, and we do the healing work as well. We're going through the meditation, we're going through the yoga movements, which is literally to help you connect to your body and your emotions again. Because if you've experienced this level of abuse, a lot of times you will be totally disconnected. You'll be totally disconnected, and you will be doing things that are actually harming you in an attempt to cope and to numb. And in order to stop doing those things, you need to reconnect with yourself. You need to work through those things again. So those are some of the things that we do in those sessions. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the self-destructive behavior, right? In a narcissistic or toxic family, you're going to see any number of self destructive behaviors or dynamics in that family. It can be binge drinking or alcoholism, okay? It can be gambling, excessive gambling. You may have drug addiction, family members who are drug addicted. Um, you may have family members who have different types of disordered eating. It could be anorexia, it could be bulimia, it could be overeating, where there's an issue with chronic obesity in your family. Okay. People use food to numb themselves. So it is a symptom when you have a family and everybody in the family is big and obese. Oh, you dealing with a toxic family. You dealing with some secrets in that family and some things in that family that they're holding on to in that weight. That weight is not just physical weight, like just food. It's emotional weight, it's spiritual weight, it's things that's going on in the family that they haven't dealt with. And it's being expressed that way through eating issues. Okay. So, food addictions. Okay. Hoarding. Hoarding is another one. That was mine. Okay. That was the one that I experienced growing up. Um, my mom is and was a hoarder. Okay. You may see sex addiction. Okay. Somebody where their bedroom is like a revolving door. that is a sign that there is some deep toxicity going on in the family. Somebody who has a PORN addiction, okay? You may see things like that. Or issues with incest. Y'all got to understand when it comes to things like that, incest or pedo, I don't want to say the full word. Um, these are deep curses that happen on the family. When we were in our natural environments, in our healthy environments before this Babylon system took over the entire world and our communities, and I'm talking to my people right now, okay? I'm talking to Black folk right now, as I always am on this channel, but I need to be specific. When we were in our natural environments, the way we held our communities, if things like this ever happened in the community, whole bloodlines would be taken out. Whole bloodlines would be taken out. This is not something that would be allowed to fester in a community. They didn't want those type of things spreading. But because of the things that we experience on such a grand scale through this Babylon system, the Wazungu system, the system of white supremacy, y'all know what I'm talking about. This is the same energy. A lot of these things became a part of our family and bloodline, and we never got therapy. We still experiencing these things with them, and it was allowed to continue in cycles. So this is why I'm saying the things that you're experiencing, it didn't start with you. And it's almost like it's a spell that the family members are under. They don't even see what's happening to them. They don't even see the light. They're just in a cycle. They're in a generational pattern, in a generational curse, and they're just playing it out. They just keep playing it out and pushing it forward. Okay? So you'll see those types of destructive sexual behaviors. Another thing that you may see is which is coming out now, which is this sexual confusion lifestyle. Okay, this is not a lifestyle that has anything to do with us as African Black people. It has never been a practice that has been amongst us in a community. Never, ever, ever, ever. These are one of the things that if they saw it happen, they would take you out. This was not considered a healthy lifestyle for us. This is considered normal in Wazungu culture. Now, if you go and you watch their culture and you see the things that happen in Greece and Rome, all of this pedo behavior, this sexual confusion behavior, this is their lifestyle. And because we've become so entangled with them, we've taken it on as though it's normal, and it's not. It may be normal for them, but this is not how it goes for us. When we lived in our healthy, African centered perspectives. Okay. When we were living in a healthy African centered worldview, that was not our lifestyle. Okay. So, any of these things that you see, any type of self destructive behavior, any type of behavior that is anti life, even cigarette smoking. When you see in a family, there's a lot of people who smoke cigarettes, the level of destruction that you see going on in that family, that's a dangerous addiction. That's a dangerous addiction. People see it all the time and they act like it's normal or something because we see everybody doing it. That's not just some normal habit like I like to go skating or something. It's not. That's a serious self-destructive behavior. I remember as a nurse, taking care of a family where, the parents had a child, and you will see all the time parents come in with children who had breathing issues, asthma, and all that. Child ain't got no asthma. The child got a parent in the house who smoke. That's what they have. They have a parent in the house who smokes cigarettes. They're smoking in the house, some of them, and some of them smoke outside of the house. But the third hand smoke, people hear about secondhand smoke, but there's such a thing as third hand smoke. Some of these people, I will walk into the examination room with them and I couldn't breathe because of the level of smoke that was on their clothes. So I know your child can't breathe at home. And you act like, and those are the parents that will come in and they will have the most attitude and the most, vitriol for the nurses, the doctors, and everything, and the work that we were doing to help heal their child. And you know why? Because they feel guilty. They know they the ones caused them problems with those kids. They know they're the ones causing those problems with those kids and creating those issues. And this is another thing that ties into blaming the victim for what's going on. They want to look at the child. Oh, my child is sick. Your child is not sick. You the one making your child sick. And I've seen children who are born to parents who smoke heavy, 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 heavy cigarettes. Okay. Um, and the child is born deformed. Child is needing a trach in order to breathe. And it's just not a healthy child because of all of the chemicals that's been in the parent system. See, um, a lot of people think that um, because nothing is happening to them and they think they've been doing this particular lifestyle and I'm still healthy, I'm perfectly fine. You're not. You're destroying your genetics. And once you give birth, once you bring life into the world, your child is inheriting the family curse. They're inheriting all of the energy of what you have done to culminate that child. You're seeing that being birthed. And so I'm looking at this kid. I remember taking care of this particular child who had a trach, and I was actually taking care of them in the home. And oh, I just hated the energy in that house. I hated the energy. You could smell the smoke everywhere. No matter how you clean, no matter how you spray yourself, no matter how you try to spray in a house where people smoke, it always stinks. It always stinks, and it always makes it very difficult to breathe. I know if I'm having difficulty breathing, there's no hope for this child. There's no hope for this child to ever have a healthy life. You done already brought them into the world with all type of breathing problems because of your cigarette smoking. I know I've gone a little bit off on a tangent with the cigarette thing, but that's been a pet peeve of mine for my whole life. I cannot stand cigarettes. I cannot stand cigarette smoke. You understand? This is another form of self-destructive behavior. So when you grow up in a family where this behavior is taking place, a lot of times you will also develop some of these self destructive habits. You have two types of people generally who are going to come out of a narcissistic family. You're going to have one type of person who will continue those patterns because they believe that this is just the way things are. This is the way things are. This is normal. To them, it's normal. They think it's normal. So they just continue along with it. And then you have another type of person who comes out of those families and who has looked at all that's going on and is saying, there's something really wrong here. There's something really sick here. And I don't want this for my life. I want a different life. And generally, those are the people who are able to break those curses in their family and have a healthier family going forward. Let me hear this part. What Adora says, thank you for speaking the truth. Disexuality, homosexuality, not our naturality. That's a fact. That's a fact. And let me say this, when I speak on things, I'm not a politically correct person. So don't come here looking for that. That's not what I'm doing here. I have to be able to speak the truth. People who are politically correct, they're going to tell you whatever you want to hear just to save face or just because that's the norm. The story is always changing in this Babylon system. Today, up is down and down is up. Tomorrow, left is right and right is left. You understand? They flip you any way they want to flip you, and you just supposed to go along with the script. I don't go along with the script. That's why I'm the scapegoat in the family. I'm going to call it how I see it. I'm going to call it how it is. And truth hurts. It hurts sometimes to hear the truth about a situation, but don't call somebody hateful because they're saying something that you don't like or something that hurt your feelings. That's not true. I'm not a hateful person. There's nothing about what I'm saying here that's hateful or done with malice. I am here out of love. Okay, so if I said something that rubbed you the wrong way, that's that mirror again. Okay, don't look at me. Go look in the mirror. Anyway, so those are the 10 signs that I wanted to talk about today in this video to help you all recognize what narcissistic families look like. What are some of the signs that you will see in a toxic narcissistic family? If you enjoyed this stream, go ahead and like the video. If you feel like the information in this video can help somebody else, please share it. Share it on your social media platforms. This really helps the channel. You know, this is a Kemetic channel. This is the African spirituality channel, and we believe in and we practice Ma'at here. Okay, Ma'at is the foundational principle of African lifestyle, which is about reciprocity. So if you receive something here, go ahead and pass it on and give back. Okay, give and receive, give and receive. If you would like to support the channel, you can go ahead and do that by hitting me in the Cash App. These videos don't get monetized, so I'm just really doing this to help other people. So if you feel I've helped you and you would like to support, go ahead. I would appreciate it. Also, leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know about your experiences. When I hear your experiences, it helps me to be able to recalibrate. It helps me to figure out what to bring to you all as well and what you need. So I appreciate everybody's feedback. I thank you for being here with me today, and I will see you in the next video. Peace and love.